Hello, and welcome to this video on interpreting the vertical scaled score for winter mid-year growth assessments. Today, we will provide a short overview of the reading and mathematics growth assessments, share some information on the 2022-2023 vertical scaled scores earned on these tests, and make recommendations on how to use the data that you have received. The growth assessments are computer adaptive tests that are shorter than the standards of learning test. The growth assessments consist of test questions that address the skills and content that children are being taught throughout the current school year. Also, the online computer adaptive test might adapt to include some test questions that are one grade level above or one grade level below the student's current grade level, depending on how your child answers questions on the test. These growth assessments are given twice a year, fall and winter. They provide information about your child's knowledge of current grade level content and skills at these 2 points in the school year. These tests do not provide a passing or failing score. They do provide data that teachers may use with other information at the school to guide daily classroom instruction. A new resource has been developed for parents. The title of this resource is Vertical Scaled Score Ranges for Winter 2022-2023 Growth Assessments. It shows 4 ranges of vertical scaled scores from the winter growth assessment. These scores are called quartile ranges. They provide information about your child's score in relation to the scores of all other children who took the same test. Let's begin with remembering what a quartile is. The graphic on screen is a scale, and it is an example from a winter mid-year growth assessment. This scale has all of the test scores of all children in Virginia who took the same test. The scale starts with the lowest test score and ends with the highest test score on each test. There is also a middle point. We have broken this scale out into 4 different score ranges. There is the lowest score range, the lowest 25%, a middle score range, which is 50% of the scores, and the highest score range, which is the highest scores, the top 25% across the state on this test. This is a picture of the score ranges from the grade 3 reading test. These ranges include all of the test scores from all Virginia children who took the grade 3 reading winter growth assessment test. Notice there are 4 ranges. Your child's vertical scaled score will be in one of these ranges. Within each range, there is a 3 or 4-digit scaled score. If your child has a vertical scaled score in range 1, this means your child has a score lower than 75% of all test scores of students who took the same test. I do want to share that score ranges called quartile ranges are different from percentages. Here are a few examples to show how they are different. When a student answers 75 out of 100 questions correctly, the student has a percentage of 75% of the items correct. Another example is if a student answers 30 out of 40 questions correct, the student has a percentage of 75%. Now let's think about a percentile, because percentiles are used on the resource document that is being provided, which I referenced earlier in this video. Instead of talking about the number correct or the number of answers correct, a percentile shows how a child's score compares to all of the other children's scores on the same test. When looking at the full range of scores for a test, we have the example of a child who scored higher than 75% of all of the children, meaning the child scores at the 75th percentile. Scoring at the 75th percentile does not mean that they have a percentage of 75% correct. If a child scored in the lowest score range shown on the resource document, it means the child's score was in the range of scores that were in the lowest 25% of scores on the test. The test question information is the most helpful information for you and for your child's teacher. This is provided in the Student Detail by Question SDBQ report. You can find this report in the parent portal, or you may receive it from your child's school. This report lists all of the content and skills included in each test question your child answered on the growth assessment. It also shows whether the answer was correct or incorrect. You can look at the report from fall and the report from winter and compare the two. Did your child have incorrect answers on the same content and skills on both tests? Having a conversation with your child's teacher may provide additional ideas about how you can best support your child's learning. If your child had a vertical scaled score in score range 1 or 2 on the fall growth assessment and showed no improvement in their vertical scaled score on the winter growth assessment, they may benefit from additional support. Consult your child's teacher for specific resources or strategies to support your child's learning in the subject. If your child had a vertical scaled score in range 3 or 4 on the fall growth assessment and a vertical scaled score in range 3 or 4 on the winter growth assessment, your child performed well on the skills and content received on their test as compared to other children. A lack of improvement for your child on the growth assessments should not alone be any cause for concern. If your child's vertical scaled score in range 3 or 4 decreased, it is possible there were not items available that targeted your child's specific ability level. The Virginia Department of Education is continuing to develop items at different levels of difficulty to provide a wide range of items. These children should continue to be challenged to make connections between concepts and advance their learning. I would like to close this video out today with contact information for the Office of Student Assessment. The office may be reached at the email address shown on screen or at the telephone number. We thank you for your attention to today's video.